Okay, so today we're talking about lesson 2 from the Palmer method of business writing. Now this one's been a bit of a struggle for me, just a lot of the hand positioning. So this is really focusing on the arm position and how it's resting on the table, and then also how the hand and wrist and fingers are making contact with the table. And I found this one to be quite a struggle. I've tried to incorporate it and the writing just fell apart. It felt totally uncoordinated. So I think I'm really questioning whether or not I could actually incorporate this into my everyday writing. And the other issue I found as well is that you need quite a bit of space on your desk, which I think certainly in my life it's a bit difficult with having laptop and a lot of paperwork around. I just don't have that sort of space in my office, and so I'm actually out on the dining table doing this, and that's probably the only place where there is enough table space to be able to complete the exercises and the motions. And that's actually where I do a lot of my writing. So when I write letters and things like that, it's all out on the dining table here. It's a bit of a struggle. Always have to move the computer and things like that to get enough real estate on the table. Okay, so here we are just looking at really looking at the writing arm at this stage. So just a quick review of the previous lesson, really just having that 90-degree bend at the arm there. So it means that the body will need to be positioned so you can achieve that. So you don't want the arm cramped in like this, or you don't want it so far out that you really struggle to maintain a comfortable position. So just nice and comfortable there, 90 degrees, and well, now this is where it kind of gets a bit awkward. So on the actual instructions it says because all the motion is generated with your whole arm, not just the fingertips here, not just through the wrist and fingers, it's really by moving the whole arm like this, and the suggestion is to have your hand in this sort of orientation, and it really advocates that the points of contact, so the meaty part of the forearm underneath here, and also these two fingers here, and the wrist and side of the hand shouldn't touch. So if we're looking at holding a pen, it would be held something like this. Now so my nib is basically pointing straight up like that. I don't know too many people who hold their pen in this position and have their arm like this and the hand in like palm facing down. I have seen a lot of older people write like that, so maybe that's indicative of the methods they were taught when they were in school. But certainly for me, the arm's more on a side position like this. Again, see, I can still maintain that bend, but my wrist is touching the paper here, and I can still generate that movement there. So my wrist and fingers don't extend and contract like this. It's really the movement here. That's where you want the movement to be generated by your whole arm moving. So that's essentially the basis of this lesson, and really that's it. So just maintaining this position. We'll get more into eye line and things like that in later lessons, but for now, the writing point just in front there. So it's really kind of like a typewriter. The paper's moving and not the arm. So the arm is generally staying in the same position, and you basically want this sort of travel. You want to be able to move it a reasonable length. So you're unlikely to need to write this big, or who has writing this big, right? But you can do it. See, so you can get that free movement. Now I haven't been overly strict on myself about making sure my fingers and wrists are completely rigid. I think there needs to be some fluidity to it. So most of the movement is coming from my hand, and you can see you can just still generate quite a smooth motion here, just by moving the actual arm. And then you want to move the paper when you get about 2 inches that you can cover. then you need to be able to move the paper. Now, the bit that I struggle with, and I think where holding the pen in this sort of orientation would be of benefit, is when you get towards the end of the page, and if this part of your hand is touching the paper, it tends to, catch on the edge of the paper, or if we move over to this side, it just drops off, and it's hard to maintain, especially like when you're right on that edge. It's really hard to maintain a constant position and movement when you're going over a lip. Spiral bound notebooks, I found are just a nightmare for that. So when you get to, especially at work, we use A5 spiral bound notebooks, and you get about 2 words in, and then the hand's already on the spirals, and those spirals are just so massive, they're just a nightmare to get over. So that's something, I think where if you could hold it this way, that would be of benefit, because only these two fingers touching and not the wrist and hand here would allow you to clear a lot of that, these sort of bumps, drop-offs here. I suspect the other reason why the pen was held like this, it might be something to do with dip nibs. I'm not sure. I'm no expert on dip nibs, but I wonder if using the dip nib had something to do with why the pen was held in this fashion. Maybe, I don't know. If someone knows, please write a comment and let me know. It'll be fascinating to find out what the deal with the pen position was. But at any rate, that's the idea behind this lesson, is really just to reiterate, because it's really crucial for this lesson, that the movement comes from here. It comes from the whole arm, right up from the shoulder. Right up from the shoulder. I don't know if that's in the picture, but right up from the shoulder. And wrist, fingers, very little movement, if any movement at all. And really all that movement is coming from the arm here, and you want to move the paper. You want to move the paper. Alright, so we want to move. Now, paper. We want to move the paper. That's the idea behind it. So that's it for this lesson. Nice quick one. There's no real specific exercises, writing exercises that need to be done. It's really just getting used to that movement. One thing I have noticed when I've been reviewing the clips for when I was making this video is that I just look so tired. Even my bags have bags. That is ridiculous. I think it's time for me to get some rest. Alright, so keep the handy dad droid out.